The topic that I have chosen is essentially driving operational efficiency and increasing the profitability of your fulfillment centers. One of the very important part of the supply chain, which is warehouse, and what kind of technologies are used in the warehouse, how it drives the operational efficiency is what I'm going to talk in the next 30 minutes or so. In terms of the areas which get affected, like for example the rising cost of manufacturing, this increased complexity, there's a lot of personalization which customers are expecting today. So you don't say that I have a mass market product which is going, I want a product which is personalized for me, customized for me. This visibility into the inventory that is coming into the warehouses, into the supply chain, going out of the warehouse is a big challenge, and tracking for regulatory compliance, especially when you're dealing with food and shelf life oriented items, that really makes a lot of difference. And nowadays we are talking of shortened fulfillment times. People used to say, okay, I'll deliver it in 2 to 3 days, but we are talking of 12 to 24 hours. So every morning when I return from my workout, I see this this mini truck of big basket coming into my building and start delivering at 7 in the morning. Probably the people would have ordered their groceries in the night, and by the time they've woken up, had their cup of tea, they would be having their groceries ready. And it includes fresh, so it includes vegetables, it includes things like bread, which are highly shelf life oriented. So fulfillment times have been shortened, and how do you handle those? So, and of course, one thing which the panelists mentioned was handling disproportionately large number of returns and recalls. Now, if you look at some of the results where productivity benchmark reports have been done by a company called Aberdeen, which is it's an analyst company, and what they asked the respondents in terms of what are the challenges faced by these companies, and I'm talking of best-in-class companies. So there is a categorization which is done by this analyst, which is best-in-class, average, and laggards. We'll talk of that in a while from now. So what are the warehousing pressures driving these companies to improve their operations? So when the respondents were asked, and there are certain set of questions that they were being asked. So pressure to reduce the logistics cost to remain competitive is what one of the highly responded question was. So you can say that almost 79% people have responded to that, saying that is very important. And pressure to support business growth without adding additional facilities. So that is again very critical for them. Let's move to the next one and say that what are the top barriers to better warehouse performance. So if you look at that, insufficient warehouse technology came up as one of the key areas for people, or a burning area for them to respond to, saying that okay, insufficient technology in the warehouse is hampering my ability to service my customers. And visibility in and out of the warehouse. So as we said that visibility is a challenge, because what is coming in, how much is going in, especially during promotional period. So I need to know that what is the inventory line, how much I need to dispatch, how much I need to order. And warehouse layout prohibits. So the current layout prohibits having better throughput and better fulfillment for your customers, for their customers. If you again look at some of the other areas that they have touched, and they say that order picking accuracy, on-time delivery, and in full order. Now these are the three areas where best-in-class companies are way ahead of when they have to measure themselves on the parameters which are mentioned here against the average and laggard. So what is a best-in-class company? These are the companies which have been categorized by these analysts, which say that they are always ahead in terms of customer service, prompt deliveries, prompt responsiveness, and also in terms of adopting technology. Whereas average and laggards are the people who are behind these best-in-class companies. So there is very important aspect which you can see in this chart, where best-in-class companies have been excelling on these parameters well, because they have been adopting those technologies in their supply chain. There is one research which has been done by, basically one industrial engineering expert, a scientist called Dr. Edward Frazell. And if you see that the warehouse operational cost, if times people spend, warehouse people spend a lot of time doing traveling and searching for the products, and that is actually burning their cost. So how do I optimize my warehousing operations? By bringing down those picking and the traveling and searching costs. So that is where a best of breed WMS really plays a role, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Somebody asked, again I'll come to that question, where WMS, what is the difference between the why you need a WMS in a warehouse environment? If you look at this chart, essentially what you see is that the basic picking, receiving, packing operations are well handled by a ERP system. ERP can do that, but when you have to look at increase in the parameters, for example, space optimization or order accuracy or productivity improvement. So what basically a WMS does is that, an advanced WMS it addresses that it decouples the manufacturing processes which are well handled by a standard ERP or any ERP from the supply chain processes. So you don't have to worry about ERP is basically an inventory accounting system. It's not necessary that will do a lot of optimization work in the warehouses. Okay, so managing distribution center which requires complex operations to be managed requires a different set of parameters which need to be handled in the software, and that is done by a proper WMS system. There are various things, I'm not going to go through each of them, but there are things like FIFO, which is first expire, first out. There could be dynamic allocation of inventory from a certain location. There could be visual warehouse, which is essentially looking at a warehouse model in a 3D fashion and saying that where my inventory is, which is the area where the picking is happening, so on and so forth. So there are multiple things which a WMS differentiates itself from a standard ERP package. So what a best of breed WMS does is it actually handles two aspects of business. One is the time aspect. I'm just trying to optimize that myself here. So there is a time aspect which is finding inventory faster and moving orders faster, so that you don't waste time in terms of when the order comes in, the fulfillment happens much faster. And the second aspect is the touch aspect, which is essentially the human and the system touch. So when I say that human and system, so I don't have to manually keep on monitoring what is happening. So I don't need a supervisory control. It can be directed by the system. So that's why it's called system directed. So when you look at some examples of time, what it essentially means is that bin level visibility across multiple facilities. So I can say that how many SKUs, what LPN, how much quantity, which lot, which serial number is lying in what locations. Is that inventory on hold? Is that inventory available for dispatch? All those things can be shown by a proper WMS with proper bin level visibility at any given point in time. Okay, slotting is something which as a concept is typically handled in a proper warehouse management. So what is slotting? So slotting is essentially finding the right slot for the right items. All will agree that items are always, or articles are always their categories are sometimes season specific. So the same warehouse, same facility could handle multiple categories. Now when you are say talking of fashion items, winter will have certain winter category items, summer will have summer and those category items which are spring summer category items. Now you can't have a space which is always allocated to that particular that location allocated to a particular category always. So dynamic slotting finds how the inventory is moving. So based upon the rules that you set up in the system, you will be able to manage the inventory better, you will be able to manage the time better, because if today the warehouse this is a warehouse and there are items which are of importance today, which needs to be picked today, the operator cannot go to the back of the warehouse and keep on bringing the items. So he needs to have the pick faces which are allocated for the items which are in vogue right now needs to be picked faster. So that is where your time really becomes essential. Cycle counting, so timely cycle counting. Does the system allow you to do the cycle counting automatically on certain rules which are set up? So rules could be based upon if the inventory is not found, or the operator says that I could not, there was a shortage of inventory. So these rules or basis of certain frequency classification that you said, that for category A items I set the frequency of say a few days, but for B and C items could be for a couple of months later. So all those can be triggered automatically. This is where a WMS really plays a role. What are the SKU specific picking rules? So for example, you could be having the RF picking strategies which can be set up. Now this is not possible in the ERP. You need to have SKU specific picking rules which are there. Unit of measure basis allocation rules. So if I am picking each, the allocation should happen from certain location. If I am picking cases or pallets, they should have from a different location. So that also helps you to manage your time well. Automated exception alerts. Now a few things which are important and I think one of the panelists also touched upon is having alerts coming in from devices or machines. So there could be IoT. Now there could be other kind of alerts which could be coming, that if a particular shipment which was supposed to leave at say 4 p.m. today, until 3 p.m. the picking has not happened, an alert should be generated to the supervisor or the manager in the warehouse, so that he can escalate it and get it done. Whatever has to if the damage has not been done, he can actually take care of that before actual damage happens, right? So alerts or exceptions or warn users on such kind of exceptions is very critical, and those have to be proactively designed, and these are the systems which work in conjunction with your ERP and WMS system. So this is a 3D modeling which happens in a WMS where you can actually see by color coding what are the various locations where the picking is happening. So there are heat maps which are there. Heat map is nothing but basically in a particular location, if the picking percentage is larger, then you can actually see which are the items being picked. You can also get information related to if there is a shortage that is happening. Now these are visual cues which somebody who's looking at it can take care before some kind of replenishment is not happened to that particular location, because a picker is a picker. He's going to not waste his time looking at it. He will keep on getting those tasks automatically. So task management, which I'll come to later on, will also happen without any supervisory intervention. So there are dashboards and KPIs which are available, which should be available rather in a proper best of breed WMS. Just move ahead. So these dashboards and KPIs which allow you to tell how much has been paid, what is paid, where it is being paid, how much has been received into the warehouse, how people are performing, what is their labor effectiveness, productivity of the people. All those can be looked at as a dashboard, and this is where really the difference between I would say the wheat and the chaff, as we say, comes into play. So if a proper WMS is put into place, you'll get these visual cues immediately on the basis of certain parameters, filters that you set, and you can act upon it. Time-based exception alerts. So for example, this alert can come on a mobile phone, it can come on any device. So it has to be basically where a device can be, the interface is unified. So it need not be only on mobile. It can be across tablets, it can be across desktop, it can be handheld terminal. So basically what we're saying is that a unified technology is required in the warehouse operations. So essentially what we're talking of when we say time is improved inventory availability. You're talking of reduced inventory levels, more inventory turns, because if you're able to find the inventory faster and you're able to turn that inventory in a much better manner. Reduce pilferage and damage to the inventory because you're not moving inventory too much into the warehouse, and reduce cycle time due to automated feedback. So second aspect is essentially where we talk of the touch aspect of it, which means the system and the human touch. So automating the task on the basis of whatever is driven by the system. So instead of the supervisor telling go to this location, find this inventory, the system will tell okay, go to that location, find it, and it will give you the best pick path. So I will say that okay, what is the optimized pick path in that particular warehouse so that the picking can happen faster. Similarly, this is an example of a put away. So a directed put away, basically where once the inventory is received into the warehouse, which is the best location which is available in the warehouse for putting away that inventory. Again, on the basis of dimensions, on the basis of dimensions or weight or the volume of the item, it can be selecting the best location. Or is it a return item? So for example, if it is a return item, then you can put it away in a location which is much better suited for that particular item. The second aspect, again from touch perspective, is directed put away. I was just talking of in terms of best fit or based upon the FIFO or FIFO rules or the status of the inventory. So when you talk of flexibility and efficiency, labor efficiency, so how do I measure, what are the tasks which are there in the queue? Does the task really remain in the queue or it moves dynamically? So when I say that there are 4 operators who are working, the system will decide which is the operator that task has to be given. If that operator is free only, if the operator is busy, then automatically it finds that in that zone or in that in that particular aisle, which is the next best operator, who's the next best operator, that task can be given to, all right? And the work is then prioritized and in the right sequence. Multiple picking options could be there. So in some zones you can have RF picking. In say chilled or temperature controlled zones, you can have voice picking because the operator is wearing heavy those temperature controlled clothing which is there. He can't handle the handheld devices. It's difficult for him. So voice option is also one of the options which is there, where the voice guides the person to go to a particular location and pick the particular right lot of item from that particular location. There are multiple types of picking which are available. So you can do order based picking, which means every order is discretely picked as it is, or you can do cluster or batch picking. So in case of e-commerce example, I order say one t-shirt, somebody else also same t-shirt. So there are say 20 orders to be 20 pieces to be delivered in a particular day. Now I can, instead of doing one each picking individually, I can group them together as a cluster or a batch pick and then send either to the store which is going to deliver or to directly to the delivery from the delivery partner. So there are various picking options which are available which can be used for delivery. Rules based picking, so I can say that SKUs can be grouped together, or you can put an efficient pick path based upon the FIFO or FIFO rules. You can actually have the picking done. Voice picking is something which I was talking of, which is now gaining a lot of recognition in the Indian market. There, in fact, one of our customers is currently testing voice picking, and they are using. We have globally more than 10,000 plus customers who are using voice picking, and these are some of the best tools which are available for ensuring that your picking efficiencies are increased. So when I talk of errors, so errors are reduced to less than 0.1%. So that is a kind of accuracy of picking that we can talk of here. And it's not only picking; it can be put away also, or any other task which is cycle counting, etc. It's hands-free and eyes-free. So in fact, there have been studies which have shown that the productivity has increased by more than 25%, which means that if somebody is able to do X number of tasks, 25% more tasks can be done in the same amount of time. And reduced training time, because Of course, people will ask me that, are the dialects of Indian languages are available? No, it is not. It is English. But then there are different languages where there are different dialects which are available. So it is available globally throughout the world. But yes, I mean, if for practical purpose in India, it is all in English, the Indian way. So the system gets trained to the voice of the operator. So if the operator says, a certain word in a certain manner, which is different from the way the same word is used by some other operator, the system knows that this user is using this word. So there are training dialects which are available, which the system gets trained to. It's something like a machine learning which is available. So very quickly coming to the customer proof point. I mean, future supply chains, everyone knows one of the biggest players in the retail and logistics world. So future supply chains is the logistics arm of Future Group, very large retailer. Everyone knows about it. I'm not going to talk about what they do, but the idea is that they have contract logistics as one of their arm, and they have been widely using technology, not only warehouse management system from Infor, but other products that we have offered them from technology perspective, software perspective. This is just a screenshot of their warehouse in Nagpur, which is in Mihan. It's a 4 lakh square feet warehouse, highly automated warehouse where the number of transactions that are done are tremendous. I mean, so for example, they have reported 1.6 million units per day. That's what number of eaches that they pick in a day. And it's not only warehouse management. Warehouse management system works in conjunction with other systems like put to light. It works in conjunction with high-speed cross-belt sorters. So this is just an example of that. And it's one of the world-class warehouses I've ever seen. So if one of you gets a chance to visit that, please do visit that. Really nice warehouse they have done. They have this kind of a spiral conveyor where the picking happens. So as I said, the batch picking has happened. So the containers are moved through the spiral conveyor where they are coming to a particular area, which is basically the high-speed cross-belt sorter. So these items are put on the belt by the operator, and there is an overhead scanner which scans those items and says that okay, as they move on that cross-tilt belt, so there is a conveyor belt which is moving, which is also moving in the forward direction as well as sideways. So whenever there is a particular chute where that particular item is supposed to be dropped into, it gets dropped into. That's how the productivity is increased. So it's not about only warehouse management system. It has got a whole lot of aspects where the supply chain really gets affected due to technology. So Infor, we are among the leaders in the warehouse management system. Some of the large customers you can see here, we have put a sample of them. In various segments, whether it is in fashion, whether it is in FMCG business, in high-tech and electronics, automotive, we have large number of customers. So this is our address. I mean, this is the email ID and the toll-free number that you can contact us. We have a booth here, just right next door. So thank you very much. I think it was really nice of you to be patient because of the technology issues, but thanks a lot.